So here we are on a beautiful, beautiful Thursday already. A beautiful Thursday. Tomorrow I'll be getting my travel trailer, bringing that to the house to prep it for the trip next week, and we'll be leaving in less than a week. On Tuesday next week, we should be taking off because we have the reservations for at least our first two places on the trip. So we should be good to go. I figured, since I've been showing you folks our nice, beautiful pond here since the spring, before everything was lush and beautiful, I'd show you how much this swamp, or these water grasses have grown in. So this is the stuff that aerates the pond and makes it all clean and nice. And before, I showed you folks, like, you couldn't see this at all. Like a month or so ago, you couldn't see any grasses, and now it just grows. I don't really know where it grows from. But the other cool thing is you can see all the little frogs, right? So let me see if I can zoom in on the frog. God damn it. I'm really bad with zooming in on this thing. They're frogs. Where's the frog? I see the frog with my little eye. Can you see the frog? Like, no, seriously, where the hell's a frog? There are all these frogs in here. Can I zoom in on that frog? Oh, yep, see? We got the tiny little frogs zipping away. Look at him. Ain't he cute? We got all this little wildlife. Say hello, snake food. Say, yeah, I am what keeps the snakes all healthy. So we have lots of frogs and lots of snakes. And I have a feeling the two go together. But yeah, this is our nice little pond here. Let's see, yep, that's another frog. So there's all kinds of frogs just sitting there staring at you, giving you the frog eye. Oops, that one, there we go. But yeah, I just figured I'd show you folks this, because a lot of people don't really realize how this whole little pond system works. So the water comes up from the bottom pond and comes up here. Like I say, this helps filter and oxygenate the pond and creates a nice little place for all the froggies. And then the water flows down under the ground, out there. And that also helps with the aeration. So yeah, got all the nice little the plant life is growing up. Very nice, very, very nice. Let's go over here, feed the fishies like folks like to see, and then we will start talking. And throw all of it out there, and then I just come gobbling it. It's kind of cool to see. Like I say, all the fish just come running up for that gobbling of food. I'll miss the fish for a couple of weeks, but oh well. You cannot take the fish with you. That would be cool. That would be cool. You know, some of these travel trailers, these RVs, they have they have fireplaces in them. That would be cool if you got like a koi pond. That would be like the super cool travel trailer. Be like, yeah, we have our portable koi pond with us. And as much as that sounds like a joke, it is amazing how much people spend on these travel trailers and RVs. Like, ours wasn't too bad. We have a nice 30-footer. All told, cost us about $22,000, which isn't too bad. When you consider, like, there's these Airstreams. Like, Airstreams are like the Apple or like the Whole Foods of travel trailers. They're just beautiful. They're the solid metal ones. So like you'll see Airstreams, of course, you know, with government projects or with the very foo-foo people. But those Airstreams are bloody expensive. Like, because my wife was looking at them because she was like, they're so nice, and they are. I mean, they're laid out well. Like they're the Apple. They are the Apple of travel trailer. Like, everything about them is amazing. Like, they're like one of the few travel trailers that they will literally last you for 50 years. Like, they're the kind of travel trailer, like, you would literally renovate. Be like, yes, well, we're putting in the Italian marble into our travel trailer bathroom, right? You know, it's the type of thing, like, you go out there. And most travel trailers, frankly, are rather disposable. So, you know, after 20 years, they're basically dead. You see very few, like, 20-year-old travel trailers out there. But realistically, like 10 years is about the limit. Like, if you go to a lot of RV parks, they'll actually say they won't allow trailers or RVs over 10 years old in the park, at least without a waiver. Like, sometimes they'll give you a waiver. And the reality is because, you know, I mean, they're built well enough. But after 10 years of use, most of the travel trailers and all that are like not looking too good. But with the Airstreams, I've seen like 40-year-old Airstreams that look beautiful. But like, to give you an idea of the price of those things, like the smallest one they make, which is just a small, like has about the footprint of like a Prius or something. It's something like, you know, 10 feet or something. And that's what, $43,000? I was looking at a 30-foot because my wife was like, you know, I'd like an Airstream. And then I was looking at the 30-foot, and I forget the exact price, but it was somewhere between like $100,000 to $150,000 just for the travel trailer. That's not including the truck to haul the damn thing. So we talk about the prices of like RVs and all that kind of stuff. It can get very expensive. It's weird too, because like people get very proud of how much they spend on their travel trailers, especially like the old folks. Because I don't know, I guess it's like, since I'm rather young, at least compared to these old people, like I find like these old like retired CEOs that like want to impress me for some reason. I don't know, I guess because I'm like the young guy in the RV parks. They're like, oh my golly, look, a young person. I have to impress a young person, so they'll come over. I remember this one, we were down in Flamingo Lake, which is a nice RV park down by near Jacksonville, Florida. And this one guy was like, yeah, how much do you think I spent on my RV, and in one of these big old RVs? It was like one of those things, like I didn't really care. I was like, I don't know, $100,000? And he was like, $360,000. You're like, oh, golly. Now, why I talk about this, you know, again, you folks might be like, oh, well, that's so nice. Oh, isn't it so nice that Airstreams cost $45,000, $100,000, $150,000? Isn't it so nice? Isn't it so nice, Eli? You're talking about these old people that spend $350,000 in an RV that'll fall apart after 10 years. Isn't that so nice? Because I know I'm getting that. I know. I'm getting the trolls. What I'm trying to explain to you folks, as I always try to explain to you folks, is not everybody in the world is dirt effing poor. Not everybody in the world is dirt effing poor trying to figure out how they're gonna get by in a day. And not everybody in the world is dirt fucking cheap either. You have people that will spend $45,000 on a little metal outhouse that says Airstream. Just like people will spend $2,600 on a little metal laptop that says Apple, right? And the important thing to understand with this, again, like when I talk about this stuff, is remember, you can only deal with so many people. Now, there's all these people in the world. And Eli, you know how many people in the world are going hungry? A lot. A billion? Probably get billions, probably pretty conservative. Probably more than that, right? A lot of people are going hungry. But here's the thing, you can only deal with so many people. You can only deal with so many people. So again, even like with the United States, you know, everybody screams about the 1%ers. Oh, the 1%ers. Well, if we have 330 million people, then 1% of that is what, 3.3 million people? So there's 3.3 million people in the 1%er category. Like the 1%ers make like, I think they make like $500,000 a year. Like $500,000 a year and like $6 million in assets or something like that. But there's 3.3 million of those people. 3.3 million of those people. So you can either focus your career and your profession and all that on finding the lowliest, most desperate people that don't have a dime to pay you, or you can go and try to focus on the 3.3 million people in that whole 1%er category that literally look down on Whole Foods. Like I knew one person, like to give you a hint about how wealthy some people are, and these people are just wandering around. They just wander around. You don't even realize it until you talk with them. I know this one person down in the Caribbean islands, and this motherfucker, he had a plane, and he had a pilot's license, and he would literally fly from the Caribbean islands to a Whole Foods in like Miami or something. Like that was his like weekly or bi-weekly grocery shopping trip. Just fly. So again, I'm just trying to put this out there because everybody gets like so tunnel vision. And again, I talk about like the tunnel vision and I talk about the echo chamber that people get into, and they get so focused in front of what is in front of their eyes. They're like, but Eli, where I'm at in the world, they don't have people like that. It's like, then move. Then move. And actually, you might find out that people around your area are a little bit more successful than you realize. Because like in Maryland, right? So we always hear about Baltimore. Baltimore sucks. Baltimore sucks ass by just about any estimation. You know, Baltimore, basically the only reason Baltimore isn't Detroit is it just happens to be on the East Coast. right beside Washington, D.C., right beside a lot of stuff. Right, because that's the thing, like with Detroit. One of the reasons why Detroit is so screwed is it's kind of like in one of those corners of the country where it developed because of an industry, but then when that one industry disappeared, it just collapsed, right? Because there was nothing else there. The only thing that keeps Baltimore surviving is Washington, D.C. is close, so you've got all the government stuff. A lot of military bases are close, so you've got the military stuff going on. You've got Philadelphia, you've got New York, you've got all of this stuff going on around Baltimore to give Baltimore enough life support that it doesn't completely and utterly collapse. And if you actually deal with the politics of Baltimore, and actually if you know what's going on with Baltimore, with things like the water pipes and all that, it is a hell of a lot closer to fucking collapse than people realize. Like, oh, you talk about screwing up a server and like shutting down 1,000 email accounts and how bad that would be. Like, imagine like when infrastructure is so bad that it's literally just crumbling. But anyways, imagine shutting off 100,000 people's water. Well, I guess we had that in Flint. Anyways, but the thing is, you know, so you think about Maryland, everybody focuses like on Baltimore City and, oh, it's so horrible and how do you get money from any of these people? But then, again, like what people don't realize is like Baltimore or Maryland is actually like one of the wealthiest per capita states in the country. You wouldn't necessarily know it, but it's like families worth like over 10 million. What is it? Families worth over $10 million? It's like 7% of the population. 7% of the population. And so the issue that I have with so many people is like in Baltimore and all that, all they do is they focus on the poor people in Baltimore. Oh, we're surrounded by poor people. How are we supposed to be successful? Blah, 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 blah. And what they don't look at is 7% of the population is multimillionaires. It's like, well, focus on those people. Here's the thing. Go focus on the multimillionaires. Figure out how to get money out of them, and then use the money that you earn to do whatever the hell it is you want. Right? If you want to feed poor people, go ahead and feed some poor people. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying. It is the real world. It's the real world. But everybody's like hyper-focused on. But you understand how horrible the world is. And again, that's that whole thing from Eckhart Tolle. You cannot suffer enough to comfort somebody else. All right? You can take an axe and you can chop off your arm. And it will not make, well, at least any sane person, it won't make any sane person in the world any happier. Again, it's like the whole thing with you know, people starving in Africa. You feel really bad about it. It's not even Africa. You have people starving in Africa, you have people starving in Asia, you have people starving in South America. You got a lot of people starving, right? But here's the thing. I mean, whether or not I eat steak tonight isn't going to solve their starving problem, right? So much of it is like infrastructure, like with India, right? Because I was in India, talked with a lot of people in India, and it was ridiculous. It was like when I was in India, and that's the thing, it's like, oh, don't you understand people are starving somewhere? But it was like 40% of the produce like rotted before it got to the people. So when you think about like how many people were hungry in India, it's like, oh my God, how many people are hungry in India? But it's not about whether or not I clean my plate at night. It's not about whether or not I give money to some charity somewhere. It's about them having refrigeration cars. It's about them having logistics. It's about road networks. Again, I mean, and that's how screwed up like our nonprofit organizations are. When was the last time you heard a nonprofit come to you and saying, we are trying to re-asphalt a road in a third world country? Right? If you asphalt, because again, if you go to poor countries, there are sealed and unsealed roads. Basically what we call dirt roads, they call unsealed roads. And so sealed roads are asphalt roads. And if you really think about it, if you really want to improve the productivity and bring people out of poverty in countries, you would asphalt roads. Like asphalt roads solve a lot of issues really damn quick. I knew people that were dealing with the whole everything in Afghanistan, and they said that was one of the proudest achievements with Afghanistan is there's some road that goes through Afghanistan, and they're like, we asphalted that damn thing. And like really, like when you think about it, like if you want to increase the productivity, which means money, food, all of that for a country, asphalting roads is a huge thing. That is something that is incredibly beneficial. But no. Again, when was the last time a nonprofit organization came and asked you for money to asphalt roads? Or for refrigerated train cars? Or for refrigerated vehicles? Or anything like that? But anyways, That's just me going off on a tangent. But it's okay for me to go off on a tangent because, well, I have to talk about something for an hour a day anyway. So anyways, so I'm very happy to say, and that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today, is Louis Rossmann is continuing to receive my vengeance. That's right, he may have the multimeter probes, but he is getting the vengeance of success. So he's now up to like 104,000 subscribers. Do you realize, like, one of the days, I think last week, he got 800,000 views in a single day? I don't believe I've ever gotten 800,000 views in a single day. So he's going up there. He's averaging now like above 100,000 views per day. He's just increasing subscribers and all that very, very well. Like I say, he's up to 104,000. Like, it was funny because like literally he left a comment like last week. He left a comment, I think Friday of last week, when he had like 60,000 subscribers. Or something like that, and I had said something about getting the silver play button on Eli Computer Guy Live. So Eli the Computer Guy Live is my question and answer channel for tech, and I'm at like 70,000 subscribers there, I think. And so I was talking about, oh, you know, I should be getting the silver play button, so I'll have 2 silver play buttons. And then he said, yeah, it'll be fun to race you to that silver play button. And it's funny because he like literally said that Friday of last week. And he had like 68,000 or some subscribers at that point. And like literally in 1 week, he now has 104,000 subscribers. It was like, yeah, man, that wasn't much of a race. It's kind of like one of those, like I was getting up to the starting block. I was getting ready to start the race, and he like comes in behind. It's like, I'm done. I'm like, what? Fuck, God damn it. Like, I've gained like 1,000 subscribers in a week, and he's gained like lots and lots. Like I say, it's up to like just a ridiculous amount. But one of the things, that's why I wanted to talk about him today, and all this whole thing with our bet, the $100 bet that he becomes a content creator and all that kind of stuff. Because again, this may seem really cheesy to you, it may seem really goofy to you, but there's a lot of life lesson in here, right? Because basically what is happening to him now is not surprising to me, or is not shocking to me. I'm a little surprised that he's increased quite that quickly right now. But the idea of him being very successful in this format is not a surprise. And again, it's not something that like this growth is a bit surprising. But overall, his growth and his success is not. And I think this is a valuable thing for you folks to be thinking about, because one of the most valuable things that you can do in life is you can go and you can find people that are experienced in the field that you want to be in, and then ask them honestly what their opinion of you and your chances for success. Now, of course, this is one of those things that nobody ever wants to do, because if you ask somebody that has 20 years experience or however much experience in the field you want to go into, whether or not you'll be successful in the field, there is a chance they will say no. And again, the problem, it always goes back to ego. Again, like I say, I'm an Eckhart Tolle on a lot of things. Like I should come up with the 10 concepts, the 10 concepts of Eli. And then I'll put it into a book, and then I'll sell 1 million of them. But like one of the big concepts is this whole ego thing, right? So basically people have this ego, and they say, I want to do, or I think I will be successful doing. And they don't want anybody to disagree with that, because that would be too insulting to them. That would be too painful. So regardless whether or not the world actually needs it. Again, does the world really need any more people to swap hard drives? You know, again, like I say, I hear so many people like, Eli, I want to be a computer repair professional. And again, if you want to be Louis Rossmann and like do motherboard level repair, I'm telling you, Louis Rossmann's like, look, I have a successful business, and it's like, yep, and I will happily send my laptop to you to do that, because I ain't got to do it, right? But that's the thing. It's like if you want to do like Louis Rossmann level motherboard repair or whatever, there's a future in that. Again, you got to tweak it a little bit. But there's a future in that. But again, what most people are doing is essentially, you know, swapping hard drives, swapping graphics cards, doing antivirus repair and all that. There's just not a future in there. So there's not a money in that. But people say like, oh, this is what I want to do. And then they don't want to hear from anybody whether or not they would actually be successful in that particular thing. And that's where they get into the whole issue of ego, where it's like, I think this is what I want to do, and then come hell or high water, that's what they try to do. And one of the problems that I see with this is that most people, again, they don't really think about what they really want their outcome to be. Again, work, me talking into a camera, is supposed to provide you the outcome that you want. It's supposed to provide you a nice house, and it's supposed to provide you a travel trailer if you want it, and a pond if you want it, and health insurance, and being able to shop at grocery stores, and all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the weird things that I find in the modern world is nobody, or so few people seem to think about that. It's like, I want to do computer repair. And it's like, well, is that going to be able to pay you enough to be able to afford the mortgage on the house that you want? Is that going to be able to pay you enough to get health insurance? Is that going to pay you enough to pay for your wedding? Is that going to pay enough? And again, that's one of those things that people just don't want to think about. No, this is what I want to do. I want to do computer repair. Or the other problem that you run into with people is whether or not they can do it at a production level capacity. Again, I've had to deal with some disabled people, and not even disabled people, but other normal people, and you run into this real problem where they say, you know, Eli, this is what I want to do in life, this is what I'm going to do in life, and you're like, yeah, but you're not fast enough to do it. Again, even if you're going to do like computer repair, so when we had a computer repair shop, in order to make that viable, you had to push out 4 or 5 fixed computers per day. If you're not pushing out 4 or 5 fixed computers a day, then part of being good is that actual production level. Can you do it at production speed? Again, like with coding, like you get a lot of people that get into coding, and you know, if you code a little bit, you know, you code 10, 50, whatever, 100 lines per day, is that actually going to be fast enough to get you a job and keep you on the career path? And that's what you run into, is a lot of people, they can't just do it at speed. So one of the things that I think is very valuable for people to do is to go out there and find people that are successful in their field. And again, you determine the success. And you know, I talk about money a lot. One of the reasons why I talk about money a lot is money is one of those things that it's really hard to truly lie about, right? Because everybody can lie about being happy, right? I'm so happy. And then again, you only see them in a very short time frame. So people can fake being happy for an hour. People can fake being successful or whatever for 2 hours. Things like money is a little more difficult to fake. Again, you know, how much do you make in a year? $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, whatever. That's harder to fudge with. Whereas, like I say, with things like success and all that, people can fake the funk. And again, what you have to worry about is, again, everybody is worried about their ego. Everybody is worried about their ego. The most important thing in the world is that their ego can't be damaged. So one of the problems you get into is when you go talk to people that seem successful or seem happy, and you just have a very short conversation with them, is that they will gloss over a lot of the problems that they're having just to prove that they are in fact successful. Because again, one of the things people don't realize when you're younger is being a mentor is a valuable thing. So like when you look at wealth, right, when you look at value, there are many things that go into something like wealth. It's not just how much cash you have in the bank. It's also stocks, it's bonds, it's real estate, it's art. But if you look at wealth from a much larger perspective, one of the other things that's very valuable to people is having people that come to them for advice, for them to be advisors, right? Because the more people that come to you for advice, the more other people see you as somebody knowledgeable in the field, so they will come to you. So basically, because people listen to me, right? I get a lot of monetarily valuable offers, right? Because people come to you for advice, we believe that you are knowledgeable in this field, therefore here is a very lucrative offer. And so you get a lot of people that basically fake the funk with being successful and being happy and all that, so that people think think they are somebody impressive and then come to them for advice. And then they strut around and talk about, oh yes, when I'm mentoring, I'm mentoring these few of these young, hard-charging tech people. And then other people go, oh, well, if people are coming to him for mentorship, that means he actually knows what's going on, or she knows what's going on, and therefore maybe we should present an offer to them. So this is one of those things that you do have to be careful about when you go and you find somebody that's successful or whatever, is make sure that they actually are successful. Because a lot of people lie. Again, like I say, I was dealing with the startup world for a while, and oh my God, there were some fucking bastards in there. There's a few of them. I can think of them in my mind's eye. I won't say their names because I don't go that way on these. But they would come in and they would all be all like strutty. They'd be like the old men in the room. Oh yeah, I am successful or whatever. And the problem is, like I say, for somebody like me, I figure out what people do in life. I figure out their claims to fame, and then you just sit there and you're like, you haven't done anything. You're sitting here being all like the old man of the room, and you're a fucking idiot. Like, I wouldn't come to you for advice on what plumber to use, much less anything else. So the one thing when you're going out there to get advice, just be aware of this, because it's shocking. It's surprising. The people that you go to for advice, you don't think of them lying their ballsack off about success. But a lot of people in this world that seem successful are just miserable wretches. There is back when I was doing the criminal justice program, we had to go through a lot of sociology classes, and psychology classes. And I remember that was one of the things, one of the sociology studies that happened. And like one of the interesting things that the sociological study found was that most rich people don't own fancy cars. You're like, what? Well, here's the thing, right? So you see a fancy car. So you see a person in, not a Jaguar. Who the hell buys Jaguars anymore? You see somebody in a BMW. You see somebody in a Tesla. You see somebody in a fancy house and all that kind of stuff. And you think, wow, those people are successful. Those people are rich. What they found was actually, this is going to sound bad, but a lot of people that were successful and had money and all that drove Fords and drove Toyotas and drove all that kind of stuff. And you're thinking, wow, why would a successful, wealthy person, drive a Ford or a Toyota, and a non-wealthy, non-successful person be able to buy a BMW or a Tesla? And the reason is because the wealthy people paid off the Toyota, paid off the Ford, whereas the non-successful, non-wealthy people had huge payments on that BMW or that Tesla or whatever. And you got to think about that. Like, so many of the finer things in life can be financed. So you go and you look at somebody and you look at a lot of things they have and you think, oh, those are the marks of success. Are they really the marks of success? And again, this is one of the reasons why I show my foibles and I show a lot of problems with stuff that I do. Because I want you folks thinking, should I really trust this person in front of me? Okay, they have this, and they have this, and they have this, and they're talking about this, and they're talking about that, and they're talking about the other thing. But do those things actually mean what I think they mean? When somebody has a Tesla, does that mean they're a multimillionaire, or does that mean that they can get $70,000 in financing? That's an entirely different world, right? But the thing is, you want to go and you want to find somebody that is successful, and again, I would argue, you want to find somebody that's successful and happy and has money. How you do that is, again, I argue that you should go out there and you should actually talk with people and you should create relationships. That's the whole thing. Like with me, what I've learned is I talk with almost everybody, and then I listen. Right? I listen to everything that they say. I listen to everything that they say. And if you listen to everything that they say, then you can figure out what makes sense and what doesn't. Like I was talking with somebody that was worth $100 million. $100 million. You're like, how do you know he's worth $100 million? I don't know if he's worth $100 million. Maybe he's worth $99 million. But I sat there and I started having a conversation. Again, I was flexible with the conversation. I let him carry the conversation because I'm a young, strapping young man going out there trying to build my company. This is somebody worth $100 million. And again, they are more than happy to mentor you. Again, there's this whole idea out there that successful people are like these Scrooges. And again, every time somebody says that, I just want to smack them. Because I'm telling you time and time and time and time and time and time again, successful people with money are more than happy to talk with you if they don't think you're a complete and utter asshole. They don't want to deal with you. Again, if you're going to sit there and be like, oh, it must be nice. Oh, you must have stole. Oh, how did you rip somebody off to get to where you're going? Then they're not going to deal with you, right? Again, it's kind of like, it's like that. People call it reverse snobism. And I just call it snobism, right? Like people have this idea of people in the upper echelons are so snobby to the people in the lower echelons. Oh, look at those lowly people. And what I have found in life, what is far more destructive is, because sadly, I mean, the successful people are already successful. What is far more destructive is how snobby unsuccessful people can be. Unsuccessful people can be so bloody snotty. So snotty and so superior. Again, all of these aspects you assign to those people up there, man. Again, you hear it so much. It's like, oh, those people don't work. Oh, those people. And again, if you go to a successful person and you carry all this baggage where basically you think they're an asshole. Basically, you walk into a situation with a successful person and you walk in there with the expectation that they are a lying bastard that somehow stole or robbed in order to get to where they are. They're not going to want to talk to you because again, it's the look in the eye. It's how you speak with them. If you're all angry and pissed off, they're not going to want to speak with you. Again, people speak when it's a relaxed environment, right? So I was talking to this person, I say $100 million, and because I've been out hanging up door hangers. I was down in a place called Federal Hill back when you could still hang up door hangers. Spent the day hanging up door hangers, so I wound up in one of the bars, one of the quarter bars. Figured I'd put down a few pints after a day of putting up door hangers, start talking to this guy, and it was interesting because I was talking to him, and you could just listen as he talked about things, and that's how you realize if people are successful or not, because they don't talk about cars. Like real successful people, real people with money, they don't really talk about like a Tesla, or they don't really talk about the latest BMW or anything like that. They talk about other things. They're the things that you don't think about until the words actually come out of their mouth, right? Because again, that's the thing. Like unsuccessful people are just like you. They're just like, well, I'm sorry, that's probably offensive. But they're just like, you know, right? So unsuccessful people only understand things from their perspective, right? So an unsuccessful person thinks, what is it to be rich? What is it to be wealthy? What is it to be successful? Oh, that means I have a fancy car. Oh, that means I have a fancy house. Oh, that means whatever, right? Because they don't actually know what it's like to be up there. So it's the imagining. So the thing is, like, if you're unsuccessful and you talk with somebody faking success, they're going to present you all of these things that you would think about. Again, fancy cars and fancy vacations and fancy houses and all that kind of stuff. Because, again, they don't realize it's a pain in the ass, right? So when you talk with really successful people, they'll pull out weird things that you don't think about. Like with this person was talking about he was doing real estate transactions because money at the time was cheap. And again, a lot of unsuccessful people don't realize that money actually has a cost. Like there are times when cash is expensive and there's times when cash was cheap. And so one of the things this guy was talking about, we were having the conversation, and he was talking about he was doing all these different projects and he was doing all this different investment because literally at the time, before the financial crisis happened, they were essentially giving money away. It was a type of thing where he could literally borrow money at 4 or 5% interest and invest it somewhere and get 6 or 7% interest for nothing. And it was like basically he was like getting free money and sitting there talking about all these different things. And it was curious because he was talking about that he was having a house that was built. And he started to talk about this very conspiratorially because at the time I wasn't married. And he was like, let me tell you how you have a happy marriage. I'm like, how's that? And he said, well, so we're having this house built on the Eastern Shore. That's this area of Maryland. And he was like, so I have my wife and my architect, and they're the ones designing the house. And I remember it was so funny. I was like, wow, why is that? And he said, look, it's a beautiful place on the Eastern Shore. I trust the architect. I trust my wife. They're going to make a beautiful house. Here's the thing. I don't really care how big the closets are. I really don't care how big the master bedroom is. I don't really care about all that nitty-gritty stuff. But my wife does. But my wife really cares. So you know what I'm doing? Got the architect, got the wife, they design the entire house, and I write the check. Right? That's the kind of thing, like when you talk with somebody, again, it's those little things that you don't think about. Right? And then you're like, see, if you're actually getting that little stuff, you're like, oh, okay, this person probably knows what they're talking about. But that's the thing, you want to go out, you want to find somebody that's actually successful. However you decide to do it. And then you want to ask them how they think you will do in this career field. Because if you do that, I think you will get a much better perspective on the opportunities and on the chances than if you just try to do it alone. Because again, you got to remember, there's a lot of scammers out there. All these people trying to sell certifications. Again, you know, with colleges and training programs and all that kind of stuff, you have all these people that are trying to sell certifications, and they get a commission check at the end of the day. They don't get a commission check if you get a job. They don't get a commission check if you make $100,000 a year. They get a commission check as soon as you sign the dotted line and agree to the contract to pay the school. So again, like, I'm only going to trust somebody who earns a commission when I make money. That's the only time I'm ever going to trust anybody that earns a commission, right? If you say, I earn a commission when you make $100,000 a year, it's like, oh, okay. So you don't make a dime until I make $100,000 a year. Nope, I don't make a dime until you make $100,000. See, I would trust that person. Anybody else? No, I don't trust those people, right? So that's the problem, is you go out in the world and you have all these people that lie to you. So you have all the people in the academic programs, all the people in the training programs, all the people, again, they get paid a commission, whether they get paid directly from you or whether they have a quota, something like that. You also have problems, again, like with the politicians and all that. You see that a lot in Baltimore, where, you know, they talk about creating this nice, great, big tech sector. Again, that's kind of like a commission. But by talking about coding academies and talking about this and talking about that, then the populace is like, wow, look, they're actually doing something, and so they get voted back into office, when in reality there's nothing there to actually support it, right? And so you have all these people that are basically lying to you. So the thing is, what you want to do is you want to go and you want to find somebody that's successful. You want to have a conversation with them, and then you want to be able to get to the point where you can say, hey, look, this is where I'm at in life. This is what I'm thinking. What do you feel about me? What do you feel about me? Do you think I will be successful? Because here's the thing, anybody that's in the field knows what's going on. Again, like, I have an idea now about what I would do if I was 20. Again, since I'm at where I'm at, since I've built up a lot of stuff in the past, I will continue on a path. But I know that if all of my backstory didn't exist, that I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. Like, so with Eli the Computer Guy, the reason I'm successful with Eli the Computer Guy is because I had years and years and years and years of experience before I started doing those videos. So that's what I did. If, on the other hand, you know, I was 20 years old and didn't have all those experience, then I would slam. You know, it's, again, anybody that's in the field knows what's going on. We know how our peers are doing, we know how our superiors are doing, and we know how all of our underlings are doing, right? Because you go out there, and again, like I say, if you're in the field, it's just, you know, you go and you talk with the people in the help desk, you talk with the people in desktop support, or even if you don't talk with those people, you talk with the people that are hiring and firing, right? So again, you know, if you want to get in the tech field, you go to somebody that has 20 years experience. That person with 20 years experience knows whether most companies that they talk to are increasing the size of the help desk or reducing the size of the help desk, are increasing the size of the development department or decreasing the size of the development department, right? So you go to them, you say, this is what I am, this is what I'm planning, blah, 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 and they can give you good, solid advice, and they can see the things that you don't see. Because again, one of the issues in life is there's so much in, like I say, there's so much in any profession that they can't teach you in books. They can't even explain to you in books. Again, like I say with the IT profession, the tech profession, just the immense amount of stress that you can be under. And not only the immense amount of stress that you can be under, but the fact that the people that you're supporting many times will treat you like a complete and utter asshole. Again, you think, I'm going to be a computer person, and I'm going to get respect, and I'm going to get money. It's like, yeah, Well, respect. Respect is a tricky thing, right? Because again, you get a lot of people that try to get into the tech field and they think like all they're going to get is respect. I am going to get respect. It's like, yeah, not so much. You're going to get respect from some people, and then you're going to get a lot of hell from other people. Again, it's the type of thing, like in the tech field, you literally go from being an idiot to a hero to an idiot in all of about 5 minutes. So you can go work on one person's problem and solve it, but not solve it in the way that they want, and they consider you an idiot. Then you go and you solve a different person's problem, and you solve it better than they expected, and you're a hero. And then 2 minutes later, you're going back and solving another problem, which people aren't happy with the outcome. But that's the thing. So overall, yes, you have respect in the field. Do you really get, the respect the way that you think it is, right? Can you really pick up things? Again, like I say, there's like this whole thing, like especially in technology, like you've constantly got to be learning. So you run into people that just take a lot of time to learn something. It just takes a long time to bang something into their head. And so again, you're looking at the field and you're like, look, you're going to have to completely relearn your profession every 5 years. Conservatively every 5 years, and probably a lot sooner than that. So you can go into a lot of professions. Like you can go and you can be an accountant, or there's a lot of things. You can be a bricklayer. There's a lot of professions out there. You learn it, and motherfucker, even if it takes you 5 times as long as anybody else to learn, at the end of it, it's learned. You know it, and you can now do it for the next 40 years. Tech isn't one of those things. If you can't keep up, and if you can't learn really, 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 really quickly, you're screwed. Right? You have to learn stuff. You literally have to be able to become proficient in things in an hour. And that's not a joke, and that's not an exaggeration. So if you're talking with somebody and you're like, well, this is what I'm going to do, and they're like, well, how long does it take you to learn something? You're like, it takes a really long time. It's like they can tell you. It's like, well, this probably isn't the profession for you. And so that's where I would say you really need to go out and you really need to talk with people in the field, because they can explain things to you and they can have hunches, even if they can't explain them. Like, that was an interesting thing. So I used to do search and rescue. So with the emergency services stuff that I did, one of the things I focused on was search and rescue. And so back then, they were really trying to get, more science and more workflow into search and rescue. Because search and rescue can be a bit of a mess. And so they had done things like in the past, they had done grid searches that really suck. Oh, grid searches of any size in search and rescue are a beast, especially on like the East Coast. Because a lot of techniques for things like search and rescue were developed out in the West. And I had buddies who did search and rescue out in the West. And out in the West, it's great. A lot of places in the West are basically completely flat. They don't have many trees. So, I mean, you can just see for miles and miles. Oh, look, the subject's over there, right? Well, the problem is on the East Coast. And so they could do grid searches that way. So basically they could divide things into grids and they could block out grids, right? Because they could just... Well, the problem is in the East Coast. We have a lot of terrain features, right? We have a lot of terrain features, we have a lot of greenery, all that kind of stuff. And so grid searches absolutely suck. So one of the things that they did for creating search areas for the East Coast and all that is instead of doing grid searches, what they did is they started dividing areas by terrain. So like if you have ridges or if you have valleys or you have a lake, instead of creating nice squares, basically you come up with weird shapes that mimic that terrain feature. So like if you have, it's not a ridge, so if you have a ridge, that would be a line. And then off of ridges is spurs. So spurs are kind of like a ridge, but they go down to the ground. So if you have a ridge, that would be one line. And then if you have 2 spurs that go down to like a lake, then that would be a triangle. And then the other side of the spur maybe goes out here, and this would be a different area. And so basically you get all these weird-ass shapes that come into search areas. Well, a very interesting thing that they learned that worked really well with search and rescue is one of the things that they found is that people, when they get lost, who the hell knows why they get lost in the ways they do, right? Basically, people go out in the woods, and then they just do stupid stuff, and then they become lost, and then search and rescue teams are called out. Again, understanding why can be very, very complicated, especially if you don't know the person personally and all that kind of stuff. And so they found this interesting technique. And so because the big problem is like with anything in the emergency services, time is of the essence. It's not about blocking out that you've done search areas. It's about finding the subject as quickly as possible, because especially if it's too hot or if it's too cold, if the person has medical conditions, again, you really prefer to find a living body. If you find a living body, then you feel like a hero and everything is great. If you find a dead body, well, then you're going to PTSD counselors for a while. So you really prefer to find a living body. The quicker you find that living body, the better. And so basically, they're trying to figure out. So it's like, okay, we have this map, and we've divided all these areas into searchable sections. And then they came up with this idea of they would bring in all the high-level search and rescue leadership that has been doing search and rescue for like a decade, right? They would bring in the people that have a lot of search and rescue experience. And then what they would say is they would give every one of those people, so they bring in like 10 or 20 or however, 5, 10, whatever, however many people in, and they would give those people points. They would give those people 100 points. And then those people would have to assign a certain amount of points to the places that they thought it was most likely the subject would be. So again, you get 100 points, so you can put 70 points here, and 20 points here, and 1 point there, right? And the thing is they didn't ask those search and rescue people why. They didn't ask those people to give a very illogical reason. They didn't ask the search and rescue people to articulate the reasons why they gave the points. They just said, look, in your experience, we want you to do points. And so people would walk up and they say, okay, so who's the subject? And be like, okay, this is a person with Alzheimer's. And the search and rescue person would think about it and be like, okay, how have all the other experiences I've had with Alzheimer's subjects gone? And then they would do this point. And what they found, again, without having to articulate things or give logical reasons or any of that kind of stuff, just throwing points on the board, that just the intuition of these folks was so good that when you added up all the points, it was something ridiculous. It was like 80 or 90% of the time the subject was found in the area with the most number of points. And again, if you went to all those people that gave points, could they give good, reasonable, articulated answers? No, right? They just go up and they look at that map and they'd say, you know what? I'm just saying I don't believe an Alzheimer's patient would be there. And I don't believe an Alzheimer's patient would be there. And an Alzheimer's patient, maybe an Alzheimer's patient could be there. But damn, maybe he had a lot of caffeine. So I'll give that 10 points. But you know what, I'm really saying that Alzheimer's patient is right here. Or again, or maybe you have like some teenager that gets lost in the woods. And a guy coming up to the map. And it's like, oh, okay, what's on this map? And then sees like a cave. It's like, man, you know what? Every fucking time I got some kid that gets lost in the wood, it's always a fucking cave. I give 99 points to that area the cave is in. Right? And again, like I say, that's a little bit of articulated, but it wasn't so much. It's just about that gut feeling. And so I think that's a very valuable thing for you folks to be thinking about, is going out and again talking with a lot of people with experience in your area. Not just like one mentor, and not even a mentor, not even an advisor. Just go out and have beer with people that are experienced in your area. And again, just tell them who you are. Just tell them, what your resources and where you're going. And hear what their gut reaction with you is. Hear what their gut reaction with you is. Because I think if you go out there and do that, you will get a much better assessment of what your chances for success and what your career is going to look like. So if you sit down and you tell the person about your experience, you tell the person where you're from, you tell the person where you're going, they may look at you, they may be like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, I think you got a good opportunity there. Or they may look at you and they may be like, well, it's like maybe you want to be a coder. And you're like, yeah, I really want to be a C# coder. They may look at you and be like, it seems like you probably go to a coder. Yeah, there's a lot of good coding around here. I'm just not sure about you and C#. Because again, remember, like with coding, like Ruby is startup world, C# is enterprise world. So you're talking about being footloose and fancy free. You're talking about backpacking around the world. You're talking about all this experience you've had. And I'm looking at you and I'm like, you can probably program in C# very well. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't think you're going to like the environment of C#. And again, like I say, with professional development, it's not simply that you know the skill, but are you going to do well in the environment? Are you going to schmooze? Are you going to want to do work every day? And so I may be looking at you like, look, I think you can do C#. I think you can know C#. Yeah, sure, of course you can learn C#. I'm sure you can program in C# very well. But you know what? I don't think you're going to like the employers that are going to hire you. That's just my thought. So, if it was me, I'd say Ruby. And then you go and you talk with somebody else. Like, they're like, oh, okay, tell me about this, tell me about that. And they're like, huh, you want to do C#. C#. I just don't think you're going to like the environment. Now, I'd say you should go off and be an iOS developer. And you go talk to somebody else. And again, I don't know, do you really want to work for that company? I think you should go learn JavaScript. And so again, now you get three people talk in different ways. But what you do with the thing that you do here is that you're probably not going to want to work for the people who do C# development, right? And that's a thing to kind of get into your head. And so if you go out there and you talk with these people, you can get an idea of it. That's one thing, like I say, a lot of people don't think enough about talking with folks. Like back when I was doing emergency services, I went through a course. Good course, right? And at the end of the course, I got to talk with the old man of the course, the old man, the old wise person, right? And it was one of those Kodak moments in life. You're sitting in a nice plush leather chair, South and all that. And so I was talking with the person, and this was the first year that the old man of the program would actually advise or mentor the young folks going through it. So I sat down. It's like one of these places, again, like I say, Kodak moment. Bit of Batcave rules on it. But I remember I was sitting there and I was talking with the person. They're going back and forth. And then just me being me. I was just like, so how do you think I'm going to do with this? And I just remember him looking at me and he said, I think you can do very well at this. I think you can do very well at this. And I was like, yeah, there sounds like something in there. And he's like, but I don't think you should. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, because again, I was a young kid at that time, so I wasn't used to all these intricacies of life. And it's like, what do you mean that you both think I can be very good at this, but at the same time I shouldn't do it? I shouldn't be here. And basically, he explained to me the life of what I was learning. Right? There's a skill set of what you're learning. Guns, and cars, and martial arts, and all that kind of stuff. There's a skill set, and basically what he said is, I think you can do the skill set very well, but you're not going to like the life. You're not going to like the life. And again, he was a very wise man. If you're not going to like the life, do you really want the job? And that's what a lot of people so don't think about, is it's not about the skill set. It's about the overall life. And I've always been eternally grateful for that person. Because again, talking with a lot of other people, for me, it wasn't actually so much his conversation, was also the .com boom and a lot of other things that happened that skewed my life in a different direction. But I was always so thankful for that this person, I had gone through their training program, I had done everything, and yet that he would have that honesty to look me in the eyes and say, yeah, you can be very good at this, but, it's not what you want to do. Right? And I think that's so useful, but a lot of people don't think about that enough. Again, they say, this is what I know, this is what I want to do. And they don't really think about, but will you be able to perform? Are you going to be able to perform this as an actual career? So that is what I would have you folks be thinking about, is about going out there. And again, not mentors. Everybody focuses on things like mentors and all that kind of stuff. And do realize, mentorship, real mentorship, it is hard to find a mentor. And even when you find a mentor, it's not going to be what you think it is. Everybody has this idea of mentors and all this hand-holding crap. And again, I get so many messages from people like that. I want you to be my mentor. And it's like, I don't really think you understand what mentorship is really like. Like, my mentors in life were the type of people where I would see them for like 4 hours a year. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what nobody can get through their fucking head, right? Because they would give me 4 hours of just this awe-inspiring knowledge. And then it's like, okay, now spend the next year putting what I explained to you in 4 hours into practice. And again, that's what people don't seem to grasp with this whole thing. Is the idea is 4 hours. Putting it into practice is 365 days. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm not saying go out there, because again, a lot of people want mentors. And the issue is when you go out there and you try to find a mentor, is it can be very difficult. Because again, being a good mentor, doing that kind of stuff, there are people out there that want to do it. But a lot of people that you're going to run into are just asswipes. They are not as impressive as you imagine they are. The only reason you think that they're impressive is that you're naive enough to not know what to look for. So there's a lot of people out there that are willing to be mentors that shouldn't be. And then a lot of the people that can be mentors, again, the problem is when you have good, knowledgeable, friendly people that want to be mentors, there's a crap ton of folk that want to be mentored. Right? So finding mentors can be very, very difficult. Mentors is just one of those things. You know, people say go out and find a mentor. I'd argue if somebody accepts you to be mentored, by all means accept it, and you look up to them and you respect them, by all means accept it. But don't expect mentorship to be something that just happens. Like, mentorship is a bit like marriage, right? Where it's just like, when it works, it works. And when you find it, it's great. But don't like try to put it on a schedule. Kind of like, you know, with me when I found my wife. When I found my wife, it was great. It was amazing. It was the most random ass thing in the world, though. That's the thing, like with mentors, right? So I would argue, you don't go out there and you try to find mentors, because mentors are very difficult, blah, 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 like I said before. So you just go out there and you find people that are successful. And you find places where successful people hang out. Again, like I liked with Baltimore, back when I was starting my business, doing the consulting thing, we had a bar called Brewer's Art. We still have a bar called Brewer's Art. I don't think it's as cool as it used to be. Oh, Brewer's Art, man, in the mid-2000s. Oh, that was amazing. 2006 at Brewer's Art. Oh, that's one of those things, like I said, you just can't go back. You just can't go back. It's so sad. So sad you can't go back. But anyways, 2006, 2007, like with Brewer's Art, that was the thing. You go there, and it was all business people. And it was all like C-levels and organization leaders and like PhD candidates, that kind of stuff. And you go there, and you go have a couple of beers, and you talk with people when their guard is down. And again, that's the thing too, like with being flexible, is you don't try to hammer people into explaining to you how they became a CCIE, or how they made money, or how they did this, or how they do that. You buy the person a beer, or you're sitting there drinking a beer, and you see what they are willing to tell you. They're saying what they're willing to talk about. And then you can push it, and you can pull it a little bit. But basically, you got to stay within whatever spectrum that they're willing to talk about. So they may be they may be going through a divorce. So they may give you the intricacies of divorce when you're a multimillionaire, and then you can learn about that. Or they may be going through buying a building, and you can learn about the intricacies of commercial property. Or they can be hiring employees, or they can be venturing. And so what you do is you sit there, and the thing is, in a relaxed environment where you're not pushing these people. I mean, again, people like to talk. People love to talk, and they love to explain things, and they love to pass on knowledge. So you just sit there, and in that environment, you don't put them on the spot. You never push them into a corner. At any point when you ask a question and they start to harden a bit, then you pull it back, then you find something else to talk about, right? And you just keep it relaxed, and you will get the best information out of them. And again, when you do that, and you figure out where they are, so if they are in the tech field, and they're going to ask about you, because again, it's not polite to always talk about yourself, so they're going to ask about you, and you're going to talk about whatever the hell it is you're doing in life. And then as you're going, you know, be talking, especially an older person, and then, you know, when the conversation is winding down after you've pulled in all this information, you just look at them and go, hey, you know, I gotta ask you a question, what's that? Especially after you have a few more beers in you, because beers loosen lips. Beers make people a lot more honest in life. So you say, hey, you know, hey, I gotta ask you a question. What's that? You know, I'm like 22, or I'm 23, or whatever. Yeah. You know, I'm getting this master's degree in IT. Yeah. So you're a CEO, right? Yeah. So what do you think about somebody like me? And okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know why you get that master's degree in IT. Like, what? Like, well, it seems like for somebody like you, you told me all these things you're doing in life, right? So like, why aren't you going to law school? Man, somebody like you went to law school? Man, I'd hire you in a minute. I would pay you so much money. You come out, you do all that IT crap, man, you're fucking dime a dozen. Dime a damn dozen. You know, let me tell you, we were hiring a system admin. Last month. Let me tell you, it was so funny. That guy came in. He was out. I want $80,000. I demand $80,000. That was so funny, right? I was like, so you know, I just looked at him and said, well, we'll pay you $60. And that guy, he was like, oh, they fucking took $60. Right? Man, do you want that? I mean, I demand $80,000. You the man. I demand you wipe my ass. Anyways, so go for law school, or whatever it is, go for medical, right? And again, you can have those conversations, and you can see what people care about. Again, because like I say, if you go to bars with business people in them, again, remember, it's all about business. I don't understand what all those people like passion. Eli, it's about passion. I'm passionate to eat. You know what I'm saying? I am passionate about my high-quality quinoa, right? That's what I'm passionate about. Work. Again, that's the other thing, like, a lot of young people don't understand. At the end of the day, work is work. Again, like I say, even doing these videos, like, a lot of people are like, I wish I could do YouTube videos. And again, it's a good life. Good life. If you want to sit here and grind out, you know, an hour plus of YouTube videos every day. Right? If you don't mind grinding out an hour plus of YouTube videos a day, it's a great life. If you don't want to do this, it can be horrible. But again, you know, that's the whole thing. Like, we're like, I have passion. It's like, yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, is that passion going to survive past a year? Is that passion going to survive past 5 years? Is that passion going to survive past 10 years? Because I get into trouble a lot. Well, I don't really get into trouble. I guess so many people will snark you, like I say, with the whole passion of technology. And everybody's like, Eli, tell me, did you work on computers as a kid? Did you do all this stuff with technology? And again, as I try to explain to everybody, this was not supposed to happen. None of this. Not even the technology stuff was supposed to happen, right? Like I say, I have lots and lots of training in things like cave rescue and dive rescue and shooting things. This wasn't supposed to happen. The only reason now we're doing YouTube videos, but the only reason the technology thing happened, honestly, the only reason the technology thing happened was, you know, it was a .com boom. I came out with a criminal justice degree. Military experience, all that kind of stuff. I got my MCSE just as a brownie point to get into federal agencies. But, you know, I was like, well, I can get experience. You know, it was right after college. So again, I got the job. And then I just happened to be good at it. And there was a lot of benefits there that were same with like the whole emergency services thing. And it was just kind of like one thing led to another. And it provided me money, and it provided me a good life, and it provided me all those things I wanted. And so I stuck with it. And people are like, Eli, aren't you passionate about technology? Really? Who in the hell is passionate about Active Directory? You know what I'm saying? Like, who wakes up in the morning like, oh, man, I just got to do some group policies today. Right? Who's like, oh my golly, have you seen that high availability? Oh, that high avail. I mean, like, you know, as a professional, here's the thing, like, as a professional that does the job, I am very excited about high availability because it makes my life so much easier, right? If an entire server can fail and yet all the services on the network stay up, which means I can fix that, I have a week to fix that server, I am very excited because now my life is a lot easier. My job is a lot easier. I'm not excited about high availability or virtualization or anything. It's just I'm excited because it makes my life easier and I'm interested in what I do. But it's not like I'm all like giddy as a schoolgirl. Oh, Nick teaming. Oh my golly, Nick teaming. Nick teaming. Eli, are you passionate about Nick teaming? Link aggregation? No. Link aggregation helps pay the mortgage. I'm passionate about the fish. I am passionate about the fish. I'm passionate about the froggies. I'm passionate about going to Ohio Pile next week. Tech pays the bills. But anyways, that is my thought. And again, that's why I say I just can't handle Eli the computer guy anymore. I guess I can handle it because I am still sort of doing it. But again, I just get all these people like passion. I'm like, oh, just do the job you're happy enough with and move ahead. Take the opportunities that are in front of you, see what you're willing to do, and go for it. Because again, like I said, I'm not passionate about YouTube videos. Eli, are you passionate about content creation? No, it's a good way to make money. It's a good way to make money. I found off the other channels, I can make money that way. And again, like I say, it gives me the ancillary things that I like, right? Because again, like a lot of the other, like I say, with lifestyle videos, and I've seen this, with the tech videos, right? With the tech videos, I get invited to go places. So again, I get to, last month or whatever, the month before, I got to interview 10 CCIEs. So, that's the thing with the lifestyle business, the lifestyle videos. I really want to, be invited to go to Myrtle Beach or be invited to go to the Caribbean in hotels or whatever. It's ancillary stuff. It's it's knowing that, I have to sit here and, yes, I have to talk into a camera an hour a day, but I can talk into the camera at 8 o'clock in the morning, or I can talk into the camera at 7 o'clock at night, right? I can talk into the camera in my office, or I can talk into the camera here. These are all the ancillary. Am I passionate about doing a video? No, not so much. Am I passionate about the thought that I can do my job sitting by a beautiful pond with, an 80-degree air? That's what I'm passionate about. That shit's awesome. So anyways, that would be what I would say with you folks. Go out there and talk with other people, because there's all of these little things that you're not even thinking about. There's all these little things. Like I say, that one person. One person. Like I say, if there's ever a movie of my life, if I ever do anything cool enough, there's a movie of my life. That segment should be in it. Because just sitting there is like one of those Kodak moments, beautiful leather chairs, and one of those places. And I just remember him looking at me. He's like, "Oh yeah, I think you can be very good at doing it. I don't think you should." Don't you think? I was like, "What?" Like, this is not the lifestyle that will be good for you. You can do the technical requirements of this job very well. Day in, day out, you're not going to be happy. And that's the thing with the profession. If you're not going to be happy, that just kills everything, right? Because again, if you're not willing to take an extra couple hours of work when it's offered, if you're not willing to suck up to the boss, if you're not willing to know all the things going on in the field. But anyways, that's a thought. That's the thought for the day. So today, I've actually been talking to a camera like 2 hours already, because I did finally do the video on the IX Systems FreeNAS XL NAS server. Oh my golly. Oh, that's what I was going to talk with you folks today. See, there's so many things to talk with you folks about. I was going to talk about the whole, benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt. Because that was a problem. Because a lot of people gigged me. And it was good. You gigged me when I showed you folks the web page for the FreeNAS server. So I was thinking they were charging like $287 a piece for 1 terabyte drives. When in fact, you all are correct. I was misreading the entire page. It was really weird, because I was misreading the entire page like 15 times. Because again, whenever you do reviews, you don't really want to be too harsh on the product. It's fine to be harsh on some things, but I don't know, it's just how reviews go. Again, that's why you shouldn't really trust too many reviews.
Yeah, right. Reviews, yeah, right. But anyways, it's like this weird thing, like where you have to be honest with a review, but honesty in a review can be a curious concept. But anyways, and the thing was, I pulled the product out, and it was just such a letdown when I pulled the product out of the box and I looked at it. It was just so utterly unimpressive that when I then went to the page, I didn't really give the product a benefit of the doubt. So when I was being dyslexic reading the page, I guess I just couldn't see past my dyslexia. So you guys gigged me on that. That's a good thing, right? It's always good to get a second set of eyeballs. So you showed me that I was making a mistake about that FreeNAS server, at least as far as the hard drives were concerned. So I did the review today, because again, if the hard drive price wasn't entirely stupid, then I guess it's a good enough product. Yeah, it's not a glowing review. It's definitely not a glowing review. I say how I like FreeNAS. I say a lot about how much I like FreeNAS. But yeah, I did that video today. That was so hard. It's just like, it's a product. I really don't know why anybody would buy the product. Like if it was $1,500, I think it would be much happier with a Synology. I really actually do. Like that's why I don't understand with the FreeNAS, because Lewis was asking about that, or he was talking about that, because he's trying to figure out how to store video, because especially if he does more to content creation, like how do you store all this video? And that's the thing, is it's like there was a 12-bay Synology unit that can be upgraded to support 198 terabytes of storage. And that was like $1,200. That was like $1,200. So it's just like looking at that FreeNAS unit for like $1,500, an 8-bay FreeNAS unit. And it's just like, I don't... Again, if you need a lot of processing power, then build your own system, because FreeNAS is an open source operating system. And if you want something bigger, then buy a Synology or whatnot. So I really didn't quite, I really didn't quite understand the whole FreeNAS sales thing. But I did do the review today. For what it's worth. I don't know how they will like the review. I do not know. They probably will not be very happy with the review. I do think they asked for like right of refusal or whatever. I think when they sent it to me, they did ask to be able to approve the review or whatever before it went up. But I told them no. Just so any of you folks know, when you do reviews, never tell the people you will allow them to see the video or have any input on the review before it goes up. Because one of the problems you run into is, like for me, even though the FreeNAS server does cost money, like even their hardware, it's probably about $1,000, $1,100 in hardware, and so they're giving that to me. But here's the thing, I don't really need another NAS server, to be honest with you. So it's not actually that valuable to me. Again, I've got 2 Synologies, I've got a Drobo. I literally gave a QNAP away today to the Baltimore Robotics Center. So like another NAS server, regardless of how good it was, I just don't need another one. And so one of the problems you can run into is they give you these products, and then they say, but we want input, like once you do the review. And the problem you run into is, again, it takes time and energy to actually review a product. You got to plug it in, you got to play with it, you got to deal with it, then you've got to do the video. And then what happens if they don't like the review? Does that mean all your work goes in the trash? But they say, well, you know, we gave you this product. And it's like, yeah, but I really don't need another one of those products. Whether it's $30 or $1,100, I don't need another one, so it's actually not worth anything to me. So that's just something to keep in mind. Keep in mind if any of you folks are doing reviews. Tell them to send you the product. Send you the product, that you will keep the product. Don't return the product. That you will keep the product, and that they got to be stuck with whatever review you give them. So there we go. At least I was able to give some kind of a review. Because I didn't want to do a really horrible review, just because it leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Because that's one of the problems too, is again, like when you do reviews, it is as much about the viewer as it is about the person who does the product or any of that. And so one of the things, like, that's one reason you normally don't want to do really horrible reviews, is most viewers don't want to hear it. Again, most viewers, the idea for a viewer, especially like with my kind of viewer, is where they're discovering products. They're learning about new products. So if I show them a Synology and show them all these cool features, they're like, oh wow, I didn't know NAS units could do that. So that's useful to them. If I just sit there and I just trash something, like for my viewers, and the question is, well, why did you show it to us then? We didn't know this company existed before you told us about it, and so all you did is came on here and trashed it. That's not actually valuable to, like, with my viewers. Because that's the thing, like with these companies, like with IX Systems, like how many people knew about IX Systems before I told you that name? Again, this is not something that people Google search for. Like Drobo, people know about. Synology, people know about. QNAP, people know about. Who the hell knows about IX Systems? Nobody fucking knows about IX Systems. So, if I do a review where I completely and utterly trashed it, there's just no value to my viewers in that. So, thankfully, I didn't have to completely and utterly trash it. I just had to mostly trash it. Mostly trash it. But, I don't know. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Anyways, I don't know why my neighbor is getting all this lawn care done at 6 o'clock at night. What the hell is it with neighbors? So if you're gonna get lawn care done, do it during the day. Anyways, that's probably just me being quibbly. So with that, we will call it a day, and I'll see you folks on Monday, because what I'm gonna start doing with these videos is I'll start putting them out 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday, and so I'll do one on Friday. So I'll do one on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But then Fridays will go out Monday, and then that'll give me a little bit of that backlog, because like I say, we will be taking off bright and shiny Tuesday. So anyways, with that, we'll call it a day. See you folks in the next video.